The energy lately has been calling so many of us into a massive identity shift. I know I've definitely been feeling it. So if you're feeling it, you're right on track. And if you're not, stick around because I'll share some of the symptoms that I've been experiencing and some other symptoms that I've heard about others experiencing, what it actually looks like in your body, in your nervous system, in your belief system as you're upgrading your identity, as you're shifting, changing. I've really been feeling it so much over the last few days and journaling all about it this morning. So I wanted to document how I'm moving through it. I think for so much of my healing journey, the past kind of huge shift that I had that I've now written a book about and done all of that, right? All of that work that I did really happened in isolation, and I didn't feel safe enough to really put myself out there and be sharing what I was going through. So now I'm in such a more stable place, and I'm helping others do that exact transformation, right? Going from someone feeling broken, stuck in painful patterns to feeling like I can breathe and feeling free and safe in my life and trusting myself, and I help other people do that. Um, right, but the healing never stops. We just evolve through different layers. So um, that has really been evolving for me as I've been growing my business. Specifically, after an experience I had at a healing retreat last year that really cracked something open in me. And I didn't understand fully what was happening at the time. And over the past few weeks, it's been like everything has kind of intensified, right? That was the initiation of a big identity shift, and now it's kind of that final those final shifts. I have noticed my intuitions, my emotions, more sensitive to the energy, and even just more spiritual awareness. And this isn't my first spiritual awakening or identity upgrade. I have had many ego deaths, all the things, all the spiritual things I've experienced. But this feels like a really deep one, right? Each layer, it seems like it gets a little deeper. So here's what I've been noticing. And then I'll talk about some other symptoms, maybe things that other people might be experiencing. I started noticing high pitch, like ringing tones in my ears that others couldn't hear, and hearing things such as like dogs barking, like in the distance, kind of echoey, or like echoey sounds of like someone talking to me, right? Kind of hearing certain things. And it's not a physical sound, it's like an energetic frequency, especially the ringing, the ringing, because it gets to be like almost vibrating. Like the other night I was laying in bed and it was just like almost my whole body was like vibrating, especially my hands and my throat and my ears, and just feeling the energy go through my body as my cells are upgrading like in real time. It's really wild. I've heard lots of people like talk about it, right? And like, oh, you're ascending and you're upgrading and your cells and right, like all of this stuff we hear, but then to experience it in this way, um for myself has been really interesting, especially coming from, I already have done so much work, like reconnecting to my intuition in that kind of first phase, I would say, of my healing, right? I did so much of that work already. I did so much of that work already to develop my intuition, and now it's like deeper layers happening. And it's really it's really an interesting experience. And especially and I also started kind of seeing some things like really subtle, like shadows or orbs, or like we were driving and for like a split second saw this little flash of like rainbow light in my vision, like almost just like seeing through a veil, like this kind of fuzzy, I don't even know how to explain it. And then like my perception like snaps back, right? Just for a split second. And those are signs that clairvoyance, clear seeing, clear audience, clear hearing, those intuitive channels are coming online so much stronger for me. And that's really exciting. I've wanted that. And it's also really interesting because for maybe like not quite a year, um, a few years ago, I was working at I was the director of education at a crisis stabilization facility. And we had a lot of people coming in who were experiencing, right, like psychosis symptoms, schizophrenic symptoms. And a lot of that is like seeing, hearing, um, like, oh gosh, I forget the like clinical term that that they use for it. It doesn't matter, but it's just so wild because being in that experience was so interesting and so challenging for me because I would be around people in that environment and constantly be wondering how much of this is actually like spiritual openings, like spiritual things that their body is just not able to integrate and shift and have the understanding to be able to integrate it. And so it can cause that kind of psychosis, right? And it was really wild being in that environment, holding that perspective because I was the only one holding that perspective. Everyone around me was very clinical and, oh, the crazy people. And I was the director of education, so I was the one responsible for training all of our new employees. And I took that job with a lot of um, intention and integrity of, okay, I am a really trauma informed person, and how can I be educating our new employees on these are not crazy people. These are, how do we do this in a trauma informed way where these are human beings who are coming in having certain experiences that maybe you don't understand, but they're not feeling well, they're feeling unstable, and our job is to just be there for them and not judge them. So anyway, just coming from that background, it's been so interesting to now be experiencing these things and having these major intuitive shifts and identity shifts and perception shifts. And so, like, if this is the first time someone has ever experienced things like this, it can feel really, really scary and confusing. You might like people might wonder like if they're going crazy, right? Like if I had no context for this, I might be like, "Oh my god, am I going crazy?" You're not. This is often just your intuition and your sensitivity expanding and coming online, right? Your intuition coming back online. For so much of our lives, we were taught to ignore our intuition, to numb our intuition, right? As kids, we have those impulses, those instincts, and those things get shut down. And so now it's coming back online, and that can be really, really overwhelming for the system. So it's really important to do the work to help support my nervous system and my mind and my energy and keep myself grounded as I grow. And emotionally, I've felt really stretched. Like there's these two versions of me pulling in opposite directions. And I'm realizing that so much of the discomfort that I feel in my business and in my life is actually coming from this ability of mine to be able to kind of to be psychic and to I can see the future. I can see my future of where my business is going, what that vision, that dream, that mission, I can see it, right? And that's here in my future. And I'm here, right? Growing towards it, working towards it. And suffering is just the distance between where you are and where you want to be, and how much you are hard on yourself about it, and how much you allow yourself to be in suffering versus being like, okay, like I'm so excited, I'm moving towards it. And that's been a really big journey for me, right? This old version of me that I'm outgrowing, and then the new version of me that's pulling me forward. So if you've been experiencing these things, maybe you feel like that. There's this old version of you kind of pulling you back, or maybe your ego trying to keep you back, and this version of you pulling you forward. When we're in a growth or an identity shift phase, our ego, our habits, our beliefs all try to keep us where we are because that feels safe. And it takes conscious effort and time for our nervous system to be able to expand and hold more. Lately, I've been noticing my nervous system's capacity growing a lot more, but my beliefs are still catching up. And that tension is where the identity shift actually happens. Energetically, your system is trying to hold more light, hold more capacity, more intuitive awareness, more openness to intuitive downloads, hold more than ever before. It's like your soul is updating faster than your mind can really integrate. And so that's where some symptoms come in. Some symptoms that I've been experiencing and some symptoms that I've heard others experiencing and seem to be really common are increased sensitivity, right? As we're shifting, as our body is upgrading, as our identity is upgrading, we're having more of that intuitive awareness, that sensitivity come online because we've been conditioned in our world to numb ourselves. So it's the process of unnumbing, unfreezing, coming online. So it's so normal. That's like the most basic symptom is just having those increased sensitivities. And that alone can be more overwhelming and ungrounding for sensitive people. So doing that grounding work and really holding yourself through, maybe that means, like, I know I've been just giving myself permission to take more care of myself. If I need to, put in earplugs because the chickens cawing in the yard are like really bothering my sensitivity, like, right, those little things that I can do to support myself staying regulated while I'm noticing this increased sensitivity. Another symptom is feeling stuck or resistant, like you know that future is coming, but you're not sure how to get there. Feeling overwhelmed in general, like maybe just because increased sensitivity, maybe because, you're feeling stuck and it's overwhelming and you don't know what to do, just a general sense of overwhelm. Having an increased intuitive hits or intuitive downloads, right? When we are having these identity upgrades, these shifts, these awakenings in our life, that is our intuition opening more. And we'll naturally get more intuitive downloads. We'll start receiving information in different ways, right? The clairaudience, the clairvoyance, or the gift of the empath really like are the basic like kind of childhood archetype for empaths is that we had to get really good at the hypervigilance, right? The positive kind of phrase for hypervigilance is like uh, not maybe not a positive phrasing of it, but let's say a gold of that shadow is that can be clear cognizance, clear knowing, right? That I just know, I don't know how I know, but I just know, right? Or clear feeling, right? We feel things as empaths, and those are already some of our strongest gifts. And those are intuitive channels. And then clairaudience, clairvoyance, right? I have just been doing the work to kind of grow my intuition to have those things come back online. So I'm getting increased intuitive hits in not just knowing, not just feeling anymore, but now hearing, messages and seeing and things, and just whether it be actual, kind of seeing, like I was saying, like a little rainbow or something, or it being in my mind's eye, those increased intuitive hits is a really big sign that things are shifting. Some other signs that you're going through an identity upgrade are feeling in between versions of yourself. You're no longer who you were in the past, and you're adjusting, and you're not yet who you're going to be. You're not yet that next version of you. You have waves of resistance, maybe wanting expansion and wanting that growth, and then your system being like kind of shutting down and wanting to shut down at the same time. Maybe experiencing sudden emotional sensitivity or irritability connected to that senses coming back online. We're going to be more sensitive because dopamine and adrenaline patterns are rewiring our neural pathways. Your body is shifting from that survival state to a safety or to that growth state. You might feel overstimulated by things that didn't bother you before, like lights or noise or crowd, because of that increased sensitivity. Maybe you need more rest, more quiet, more alone time to help your nervous system regulate and to help your body integrate everything that's shifting. You may experience heightened anxiety with no obvious trigger because of just this overwhelm and this shift. And this is just your subconscious trying to hold on to that familiar pattern as you're growing. Old coping mechanisms might stop working, or they might stop appealing to you, or you might just like have a sense that you know you're outgrowing them. You might feel disconnected from old habits, old friends, old roles, old ways of being. You might feel like you're being pulled forward and you don't know the next step yet, and that's okay. Really, it just takes seeing that and trusting that one next step and having the courage to take it. So, how am I supporting myself through this? Well, I have studied and practiced hypnosis and subconscious rewiring and reprogramming for a long time, for years. And it's one of the most powerful tools for updating your identity, for rewiring your brain, your subconscious mind, because it works directly with your subconscious mind. It bypasses your conscious mind, your ego. It works right with your belief system that lives in your subconscious mind. Right? So for so many people, it's so hard to have that new belief system because our conscious mind has the fear come in, the doubt come in, all of these things that come in. But when your conscious mind, when those kind of critical parts of you, that ego parts of you are asleep in the hypnotic state, in the theta state, your brain waves, you're actually able to rewire your belief systems. So, to support myself through this, I'm creating an identity shift hypnosis for myself, designed specifically for the version of me that I'm stepping into next. I am going to be layering in healing frequencies and delta state affirmations and just very specific subconscious cues that help the brain update identity patterns while you sleep. Literally designed to help me rewire my subconscious and catch my subconscious up to the expansion that I've been experiencing and feeling, because your beliefs come last. When you're having an identity shift, your beliefs kind of shift last. So this hypnosis will really help support my belief system and my nervous system shifting with the rest of everything that's been shifting for me. I wrote down a few intentions for the identity shift, and I wanted to share it with you because I thought that maybe you could relate and that it might be helpful. So, I want my nervous system to feel safe and regulated, holding more visibility, right? As I make these videos and put myself out there more. I want to feel confident and natural and authentic, even more in how I show up without that kind of old wanting to shrink or hide feeling. And I want to feel really clear and grounded without leaning on weed. So many sensitive women quietly use weed to cope with overwhelm, with dysregulation. And right, it helps us when we're so sensitive. It helps us kind of dull maybe a little bit of that sensitivity so that we can get through the day a little bit easier. I had leaned on it in the past and quit really naturally when I had reached a level of emotional healing and stability and feeling really regulated. And then with the challenges of expanding my visibility and my business, I found myself reaching for it again. And there's nothing wrong if you do smoke. Um, I just want to say that, but I just feel that desire to outgrow it. I just feel this knowing that I'm going to outgrow it and I'm ready for new ways of grounding and regulating that also keep me more clear. And I'll be starting the hypnosis either tonight or tomorrow night. And I'll be sharing weekly updates on what shifts for me mentally, emotionally, energetically, maybe physically, as this new identity starts to land for me. So if you want to follow this journey with me, make sure to subscribe to my channel, and that way you won't miss any of it. And hopefully, feel inspired or supported for your own identity shift too. Identity shifts when our nervous system feels safe, holding the life that your soul is calling you into, and when your beliefs update to match that new level.